we're going to start by making our ball here. I have my outer oxygen on.
What is this one called again?
We can call it a neuron or a radial form. And the concept here is having multiple parts bridging off of a single center. We're working on bending rods and hot seals. Yes! Love his prints and illustrations. Oh my god. Should bring some illustrations in for inspiration.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I think I have the book.
Oh, I have it somewhere. Should bring it in. Yeah, we gotta get some photocopies in here. So we're gonna just do a really simple one, but you can have your own take on this. But the basic concept is attaching and bending rods. So I have a ball, and I'm gonna use my 5mm. Let's do 7.
I just mess up not getting it right in the center, so when I spin, it's like lopsided. You know what I mean?
Getting it on center on the rod.
Yeah, like centering my punny. Like I gotta work on that.
Oh, for your punty?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always take your punty off and recenter it.
Yeah.
That'll come with
I
practice.
end up having to do that a couple times before I get it right.
That's okay. So I'm going to do some hot seals, and I'm starting from the middle. And I'm hot sealing on a piece of 5mm. And then we're going to bend it. And when I'm bending it, I'm not just heating one spot. You see I'm going back and forth. And I'm painting it. I'm painting it with a flame like a paintbrush. Let me attach it on. And then we're going to do more. Once I have at least 2 tendrils on here, then I can make sure, then I can start bridging and it will get easier. So we attach it on, wait a little bit. And when I bend rod, what I actually like to do is I like to turn my oxygen down and my propane up to make it a more gentle flame. Just like when I'm bending like a flower stem. And I'm not pulling too much yet. I'm just bending it.
And I noticed like last couple times I tried doing stuff like that, I was doing it way too hot for the heat and totally messing it up.
Using way too hot of a flame? Yeah, totally.
Melted it way too quickly and just didn't work.
That is key for bending rods, is having a gentler flame. Absolutely. That's what everyone struggles with. So if you feel like you're having trouble, chances are, most likely when you're doing this, is if you're having trouble, your flame is too hot. And we'll bridge it on here, and we're going to keep going. So now that it's attached, I can make sure these are hot seals. Just get one at a time. And then once it's set up, I can heat the other one, make that a hot seal, but I can't heat them both at once because they're relying on each other for stability. Let's do some more. So I want like a sharp hot flame for the attachment point. I turned up my oxygen just to do that hot seal. That's what I like to do because it will heat a nice small area. And then once I get the hot seal as it's setting up, I'll turn down my oxygen.
knows like a lot about different torches. If you want to talk for a couple minutes at the end of class, I have like a couple questions. Anyone like has them.
What questions do you have?
Well, I don't really want to interfere with us.
Okay.
Right now, so I'll just wait till later.
Cool.
I'm stuck between that one you're using or a Phantom. The Phantom just looks good too, in my opinion.
It does look nice. The Phantom is what I use at home,
Yeah.
in my own studio. You're gonna find different people who have different opinions. I really like my Phantom. It's good for color.
Okay.
It's got a really sharp penetrating flame. But I also really like the Carlisle because it has sort of like a slightly fluffier flame. It's a little less intense. So I really like that for blowing and for doing larger work.
Yeah.
The flame can get a little bit bigger. The other thing is the GTTs, they're really quiet. They're really nice. So if you don't like a lot of loud noises, Carlisles get really loud. They use GTTs though, they use a lot of oxygen. You have to run the oxygen pretty high or you'll damage it. So it's kind of a trade-off. I have to say, like, I do have a, for what I like to do, I use my GTT Phantom for like pendants and color, small things, but like for my actual blown sculpture, I like a Carlisle.
Okay. Kind of like, as of right now, for my own art style, I want to focus a lot on pendants and smaller things. So maybe that would be good. And like, I wanted the links. I don't know if you know about the links, but that's like only a one stage. So I thought that would be a pretty big disadvantage, not having the outer flame.
Yeah, the Lynx only has like the inner flame, right? Yeah, if you're gonna get a torch, I would suggest getting the outer flame for sure.
The link is kind of made for soft glass.
I feel like it definitely would be better for soft glass because it's more soft glass people would use it. It might be made for it. I mean, I've used one for Boro. I'm like, it's not hot enough, the flame's not big enough. It's fine if you only want to make small things, but for your career.
And it would take you like twice as long doing the same stuff.
Absolutely.
Cheap, though, that's the thing, you know?
Yeah. If you want like a cheap torch that has a nice versatility, I get a Red Max.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they're pretty inexpensive and...
Yeah, I wasn't trying to spend any more than I am on the CC or the Phantom. Like anything more than that, yeah, like I'm good.
I feel like you can get a Red Max for like under 600, right?
Wait, what? $600? Like 300.
What brand is that? Oh, it's Neuron. Okay. Wow. For an outer flame too?
Yeah. It's not a two-stage, it's like it has the mounted top surface. I thought you said it was way more expensive. I don't know how.
I don't know. So that brand is kind of, it's not as like, doesn't feel as sweet. It's not as like luxurious, but it's good. You get a good bang for your buck. With the Red Max, it has like a lower big flame that's just like this. And then it has a top flame that's small. So you have to like switch from flame to flame. But it's not bad. That's what I use like for my demo torch when I go out and do demos, because I don't mind if it gets like a little more beat up. And it's kind of like hardy. And I think that's a really good, like less expensive beginner torch because it gives you a nice powerful flame.
I'm so glad I just heard about that. I'm going to research that. Get one made. That'll save me like more than half the price, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. You can always upgrade later. And you can look on like Facebook groups for used stuff. People are always selling.
Yeah. That's what I tried at first. I didn't get any responses. But I also don't like check my Facebook at all, really. Like, you probably start checking more if somebody sends a message right now.
Because of the snow? Oh. enjoy the snow day. So I'm just going in here and doing different, you know, bending them. You can make them in any direction. I'm going to start to get a little more funky with it. But it's so good to practice bending rod because it's not going to be easy to make it a beautiful bend at first.
Yeah.
Not at all. And if you have trouble, like even just make your flame even more gentle. You see my flame right now, it's pretty gentle. I'm going to make this, loop it. And notice how I'm changing my angles.
Yeah.
If I just heat one side of this rod, it's gonna heat it unevenly and I'm gonna have less control, less fluidity. So I go in, I start to bend it, and then I'm gonna heat right, like as soon as I feel one area starting to move, I'm gonna go heat right next to it and start to bend that area. And get comfortable with switching your hand position. It's going to really behoove you.
It's in the first guy that taught me, he had 2 glass rods, maybe like there were 5 or 7, at the most 7, and just rods, and then put a little like colored dot on the end on both sides. And you spin them and just try and keep the dots like lined up with each other.
Yeah, like doing a Maria.
It's just the, well, yeah, it'd be really good practice for that. Just like if you're sitting watching TV, you could just practice like while doing that.
Yeah.
That helps me out.
Always be spinning. Spin glass when you're watching TV. All the time. So every single one gets a bridge. Whee! Here's an example of letting gravity work for you. Something gets out of control, you don't need to panic. Just let it, hang it into the direction where gravity will pull it down. You can have control again. Alright, and like I said, this is not part of the finished piece, so it doesn't need to look good. Alright, now that these are all bridged up, I mean, you can do this ad nauseum. You can add a million parts to this. You can make yourself a jellyfish, or a sun, octopus. It doesn't really matter. You just want to look for these hot seals. I'm giving it an annealing flame. Get some stress out of that baby. And we can make, I'm sort of going for a neuron look here, so I can add dendrils to my dendrils, tendrils to my tendrils, dendrites to my dendrites. And since this is bridged up, I can do whatever I want and I don't have to worry. I can go in and add texture, does not matter. I can do anything. Just attach it. Now if you're just doing a little one, like here I'm not going to add a bridge, I'm just going to be really careful. It'll start to move, and I'm just going to like hold it so it stays straight. I'm heating it just as much as I need to.
Yeah, I gotta practice my bridges, because like the guy that taught me, like he never used bridges. At least for the things that like he taught me.
You know, you don't need bridges for like pendants or marbles or anything like that, right? Because they're like small forms. And I like did not use bridges for my first couple of years of flameworking. I was just like, well, I didn't have any formal classes, first of all. And I was just like, oh, it's another step. I don't want to do that. I just want to just do it. And I struggled so much more. And if I had done bridges from the start, I would have really saved a lot of time and I would have been a lot more efficient. It seems like a whole extra step, oh, but it's worth it. So it's great to get in the habit of it now, and that's why I like to introduce it right on the second day. You can go add little colored dots to this, whatever. Just going in, and I like to get it nice and hot and then kind of go, woo.
I brought a little bit of color with me that I've had for like years. I just didn't sit in there because I haven't been on for years till now.
Yeah.
But I got a couple colors with me and might add if something turns out nice.
There's nothing wrong with adding like a little bit of color. I feel like doing a full piece in color might be kind of a waste off the bat.
Yeah.
But no problem with a little ornamentation.
Yeah, like if I did a flower and it came out really nice, maybe I could add like a bit of dots or something.
Sure.
I was like really practicing my eye pendants, like when I was trying to get into glass blowing like years ago. I got like pretty decent at it. Like I can't wait to get really good at doing it.
It's all cross training. You get good at one thing, it'll help you with everything else.
Yeah.
You're gonna make one more long, spindly tendril here. We wait. So where these, I'm kind of pulling them into a taper. So I'm adding a little more heat. I'm not pulling yet. You'll feel the glass start to move. I'm barely doing anything. I'm just holding it. Make that a little more three-dimensional. And now I'm going to pull this into a taper, into a thinner part. So I'll build up the heat, not pull yet, then come out of the flame and pull. And that's how you get a nice taper shape. That's what it's looking like.
So you take the bridges out before you anneal?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you also don't have to. You can anneal first. Like, because I've been working on this for a little while. This part's got cold. If this was bigger, slightly bigger, there's nothing wrong with putting it in the annealer for a little bit and then taking off the bridges. Because I make really big flowers that have like thick, larger petals, and I always anneal before I take the bridges off just because there's so much stress. And if you're just like more worried about a piece, just anneal it. You're never gonna hurt it by doing that. So now we're gonna take the bridges off. The marble in the middle is cold. So I really want to flame anneal that if I were to try to heat it anymore. But when you guys do these, I want you to really focus on your hot seals. Every connection should be a hot seal. And it's important to recognize what's a hot seal. So when I look at them next week, that's what I'll look at, and we'll assess them together. And you can talk about what problems you had, etc. So we'll take off the bridges in super warp speed. Punties. Yep, that's pretty much it. Oh, and that's the other thing. If you want, you can use your hand torch for this. So when you're putting these on and you're like, oh, that's not a hot seal, you can go in and see how easily I can get in there in the crevice. So you can totally do that. It's kind of up to what you want to do. You can use your bench burner or your hand torch. But it's nice to start to get comfortable with the hand torch, because the flame is really small and sharp. Since I just heated that area. What do you think, Garrett? How you doing? You have any questions? And you can always add bridges to more bridges. That's totally fine. A bridge is a good thing to add a bridge to, because then you can just take them all off at the end. You don't have to flame polish anything. Jessica and Cameron, can you guys start cutting up some 7mm and 5mm? I have some things right here. Thank you. Everyone should be able to have a... Did you guys get a drawer? Okay, great. Cool. Did you get one? Okay, awesome. Yeah, so you can stash your rods in there from next class. So you can have some scrap available. Okay, so there should be some that aren't labeled, that are empty, that should be up for grabs. Almost done here. They're going to cut those up and disperse them to you all. Alright, so all the bridges are off. Starting to be something, this could be like so big, this could be like the size of the table, all based off the center point. As long as you have hot seals, sky is the limit for scale. And I'm going to just bend this one a little bit more. Totally. That's why I love this idea of like dendrites and things reaching off, because for me it looks like a neuron, but it also looks like roots or a tree. So we can readjust if we want to. Kind of like coral, if it was thicker, less pointy. So you can make it any of these things. Yes.
Are you using the bridges on it to change the bridges?
So you can take it off.
Yeah.
Unless you're unsure about something, but just take it off. And it could be like, it could look like this, or it could have smaller sections. It could be just anything based off this idea of like points coming together. And so then I would, oh yeah, let me take this off. I'm gonna finish this up real quick. So I'm gonna do a hot seal handle to the middle form, because you're gonna want to finish off your piece. Oh, I'm having a little cracking in here, so let me fix that. And then I'm just going to pull this out into another root. There's a little crack in the bottom because you remember when I got the hand torch, I knew it was going to add a lot of stress to it. There's a small crack, so I'm flame annealing out the crack. When you have a crack, what you actually can do is give yourself a real good annealing flame, hold it in the annealing flame for a while. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to move anything. And then you can slowly increase the oxygen to pinpoint the crack. It's going to be really good to know how to fix cracks. Although right now the bridges are off, so I'm just like carefully making sure they don't move too much. If it was a big piece, I would just re-bridge a couple of the bridges together. But that got most of the crack out, which is cool. So there's our finished piece, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the kiln. And then I'm just leaving on the handle for right now so I can make minor adjustments for later. But that's our dendrite radial form.